Hello, Al Berg here with Lola on one of her daily walks. And today, we're going to talk about hedge funds and the TV show Billions. Come on, go on this way. Come on, quickly. So if you haven't watched the TV show Billions, it's in my opinion, a really good show. It's about a fictitious hedge fund called Axe Capital and the owner and his battle with the Attorney General. So it's a really good TV show, but I'm going to try and explain a little bit about hedge funds today. So come on in. Let's hear about hedge funds. And if I get too technical, please either comment or tweet me at Alec Berg. So today is March 28th, 2018. It's a Wednesday. I got to work from home today, and which is nice, but my boss was a little asshole about it. You know, you have to give a reason, he says to me. So I had a family emergency today. Wink, wink. But in any case, so we're going to talk about hedge funds. So basically, if you do have any questions about hedge funds, please let me know. But what a hedge fund is it's kind of a mutual fund on steroids. And mutual funds, just to go over that, is basically you give somebody or company money to invest, and they combine your money with a bunch of other investors and buy stocks usually. So it would be a stock fund. It could be by bonds and other things. And so what's the difference between a hedge fund and a regular mutual fund? So the main difference is that hedge funds can do what's called short stocks, and I'll try to explain. That's a hard concept to understand, but shorting a stock basically means if the price of the stock goes down, you will make money, or the price of something goes down, you'll make money. So I'll try to explain that. And so the whole goal of a hedge fund is to make money whether the stock market is going up or down. And I worked for two hedge funds a long time ago. And the hedge fund business hasn't been that good lately because the market's been doing so well that these what's called relative strategies. So almost every strategy of a hedge fund is a to trade. And what that usually means is that they want to make money. So if the Dow Jones goes up, they'll make money. If the Dow Jones goes down, they'll make money. And the way you can do that, as an example, is you could make a trade of buying one stock and shorting another stock. And I'll try to get into the shorting. So as an example, say if you think Toyota, so if you have two stocks and you think one's going to do better than the other, like Twitter versus Facebook, for example. So what you could do is, since Facebook's not doing that well and you think Twitter's going to do better than Facebook, you would go long Twitter and short Facebook, an equal amount of dollars. So if the market crashes, you're hoping that Twitter doesn't go down as much as Facebook, and if the market goes up, you're hoping that Twitter goes up more than Facebook. So let's talk about shorting for a minute. And this I kind of never understood it myself until I started shorting the market. So the way it works is that shorting the market means you're going to borrow a stock. So since we're shorting Facebook, and I'm not even sure what the price of it is, but let's say Facebook is at $100 a share. So typically you would buy Facebook at $100 a share, and if it went down to 90, you'd lose $10, right? So in this particular scenario, the way it works is instead of buying a share of Facebook at $100, we're going to borrow this stock. So we borrow the stock, and the stock goes into our account, and we have one share of Facebook on loan. Come on, we're not going that way. Come on, let's go here. So if we borrowed one share of Facebook at $100. So let's say the price goes down to 90. Right? So the price goes down to 90. We have to buy the shares back at 90, and we make the difference since we, in theory, sold it first. So really, what's happening when you short a stock, you're actually selling it. You're borrowing it and selling it to somebody. Come on, we're not going that way. Come on, where are you going? So think of it as shorting is selling first and buying second. So if you're selling it at 100 and buying it at 90, you should really bought it at 90 and sold it at 100. And there's some extra fees for the. Come on, we're going to go in the park. Come on. What's the matter with you? I know she's acting a little weird. So that's shorting a stock. So hopefully that made sense. Now, I worked for 2 hedge funds, and funny enough, when I started, I went on job interviews. Each hedge fund was doing really well. And when I left, they were doing crappy. But that's kind of the life of a hedge fund. So you have what's called and if you watch the show Billions, they use the term PM, and that stands for portfolio manager. It's usually, they're the person who manages what stocks to buy. So now, the way hedge funds work is you have to be an accredited, come on, let's go inside. You have to be what's called an accredited investor. And I don't know the exact rules, but not everybody could buy shares in a hedge fund. You have to have like $1 million in asset. I don't know the exact rules, but you could look that up. Rules for hedge fund. Go play. So that's number one. And the whole goal of a hedge fund is to get a different return profile. So, for example, stocks have a certain U.S. stocks have a certain return profile, and if you want to diversify, you're better off. Let's see her. Stop for a second. Stop. I just want to get a video of her leg, see if it's getting any worse. Oh yeah, it's looking bad. Okay, so if you buy U.S. stocks, that's one. They go up and down pretty much the same. So they're what's called correlated. There's a certain correlation of all the stocks. Some stocks go up faster, some stocks go up slower. But European stocks not as much, and Asian stocks now. Bonds usually aren't that correlated with stocks, so you want to have those two assets. So this way, if stocks are going down, in theory, maybe your bonds are going up. Right? And now hedge funds is considered another asset class. So you have stocks, bonds, and hedge fund gives you this what's so-called relative return. So your return is based on this difference of trades. And there's a whole bunch of strategies. I'll try and talk about a few of them. What's going on with you? Look at those ears. So, for example, one of the hedge funds I worked for did a lot of stuff with litigation. Okay, stop. You got all the stuff in your paw. Yeah. Okay, you're good now. Go ahead. Come on, let's go into the park. Come on, let's go in the sun. So one of the things is it's very hard to compete with hedge funds because, for example, these guys have access to information you don't have access to. For example, the company I worked for had a subscription service that was about $60,000 a year. And this subscription service gave them the numbers of prescriptions sold retail before they were made public. So they were getting information. I don't like the way her knee looks. They were getting information on things that you don't have. They also, come on, let's go. Come on. She's a little worried about that woman there. So they also had a PhD from Harvard Medical School who interviewed doctors that were doing trials of medicines. So she was able to talk to I don't know if any of this stuff is legal or still legal, but some company somehow scheduled interviews, and so if a drug was in trials, she was able to interview doctors that were maintaining the trials. So those are just a couple of examples. And just as another example, one day at the hedge fund, the senator, a senator from Arizona, and it wasn't John McCain, came to our offices and talked to the heads of the hedge fund. So now they're talking to a senator about who knows what, and there were actually Secret Service agents checking us out. I was worried that they might watch me typing and figure out what I was typing, because I was texting a coworker or just chatting with them, what's going on. So, and now another example is so the owners were lawyers by trade, and they used this information to decide whether deals would get broken up. In other words, there's a lot of, when companies merge, there's a lot of trading strategies. They're called arbitrage that you can use, and you can make bets based on whether you think that the companies will merge or they won't be allowed. And there's a lot of legal things. And I don't know exactly what it was for, but once we were watching TV and there was a congressional hearing on, and there was the head of the hedge fund sitting behind, whoever was talking, the head of the hedge fund that I worked for was just sitting there at the hearing. So, these people have clout. These people can make a lot of money. It's funny, it reminds me of an interesting story that happened to me once. I was at the hedge fund, and there was a guy trading something called convertible arbitrage. And you could look that up to see exactly what it is, but something called convertible bonds. I don't recall exactly what they are, but I think it's a bond that you can convert to stock somehow. And so the one guy was doing very well. He was doing very well, and somebody from our main company, which happened to be in Connecticut, it's funny enough, like billions. So somebody from the main company called me and asked me. He said, "Al, can you get us the strategy that this guy Doug was using?" So I went to Doug. I said, "Oh, the main office wants to know what strategy you're using. Some details of it." And Doug said, "Sorry." He said to me, "It's proprietary." So here's a person working at a hedge fund, making money, but didn't want to tell the main office what he was doing. And it's just funny. So what happened was the guy, who was like the risk manager, got so angry at me that I couldn't get this information that he just hated me after that. So just as an example, you got to be careful. This is the don't shoot the messenger theory. So I was the messenger of she's making a poop. I'll turn away for a while. Well, I'll give her some privacy. So I was the messenger of information, and he took it out on me. So you just got to, as an example, you have to be careful what kind of information you convey to senior people in a company. And in this particular case, it backfired on me. Matter of fact, I was in a meeting on the phone with him and a coworker, and the guy said, "Oh, if Berg is in the room with you, I'm not going to talk," or something like that. So he just disliked me, and I did nothing except convey some information from a trader. So it was interesting. Another interesting thing I thought was we were building a trading system, or we weren't building one. We somehow, my boss found a company that was making a trading system, and they wanted to do like an open source and share it with us. So we were talking to these guys for a while, and they were in Texas, and we were in Manhattan, New York. And he one day says to me, he says, "Al, let's go down to Texas. We're going to go down to Texas tomorrow." So we got a plane flight, went down there, and I was like thinking, why are we doing this? Why are we wasting our time and money? So we went down to Texas and met these guys, and had a nice time one day. Got to know these people, went out for drinks. Actually had something called chicken fried steak, which is delicious. If you go to Texas, get that. But the whole thing was that it really did make a difference. It made a big difference. It made a very big difference meeting people in person. So it's something that I can't underestimate, is that if you want to do better with people, oh, you're so dirty, try and meet them in person. And this really made a difference in terms of our relationship when we called them. I don't know if it was a money-making thing, but it certainly helped. So the hedge fund's very interesting. It's a fascinating field. They're not doing well now, and I'm looking away. Oh, there it is. Excuse me for a second while I pick up the poop. One of the bad things about owning a dog. Come on, let's go this way. Come on. You want a treat? You want a treat? Wait, almost dropped it. That's all wrapped up. Okay, so just to go over that. So it's important to understand shorting. So they have other strategies. I mentioned one called arbitrage, and that's kind of a simple strategy where you can buy, say, a stock in New York, and there's a mismatch in the price between New York and, say, Japan. So you can buy it in New York and sell in Japan and make some money. So, and they use leverage also. Leverage means a loan. So like some of their strategies would be a 3% return, but they would get like a 6 times leverage, which would give them an 18% return. And then I also worked for what's called a fund of funds. So this is a hedge fund that manages other funds. And one of the funds is very interesting. I can't remember the name. So the way hedge funds work is they charge, there's two numbers you'll hear. One is a percentage fee, just a plain fee, and it's usually 2 that you'll hear the number, and then 220. And the 20 is 20% of the profits they make. So if they're making, millions of dollars, then 20% of that they keep. So they would keep, $200,000. Is that right? 2% million. Boy, you're really being rough with yourself. Hey, okay, that's too much. No, that's, yeah. Look at your leg is all cut up. What's the matter with you? You're a wreck. And now you're dirty too. Yeah, hey, leave that alone. You bad girl. Look what you did to yourself. Now you're eating dirt. Come on, I have some treats. Yeah. Hey, look what I got. Somewhere I got treats. So it's just a little bit about hedge funds. I worked for about 2 years in the hedge fund space, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, just little things. It was great when you're making money, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you lose. But these guys were getting inside information. I don't know if it was illegal, but they were getting information that I didn't have. That's for sure. So anybody